if you picked up Jordan Addison in fantasy, this was the right week because unfortunately Justin Jefferson's going to be out for a few weeks, minimum 4 out on IR. So what's Cousins going to do? Oh, but we're going to find out. Let's talk about it.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Welcome to Roll Coverage. I am your host, Nick. We're going to jump right into it. We're talking about the news. Justin Jefferson is on IR. I'm going to pull up the article now. Article is from Mr. Kevin Seifert from the ESPN. He's a staff writer. Put it out yesterday, the 10th at 7:30 in the morning. Basically, he was placed on IR. What Mr. Seifert started with. Minnesota Vikings receiver Justin Jefferson will miss at least the next 4 games because of a strained right hamstring he suffered Sunday in the team's 27-20 loss to Kansas City Chiefs, the biggest blow in what might have been a catastrophic start to the team's season. Okay. Now, there's another part of this that obviously is going to be in a lot of people's minds. Obviously, it's up there too, but there's actually a whole separate one. So today we're going to kind of break down where I believe the Vikings are sitting right now and their opportunities moving forwards. Obviously, first thing, Justin Jefferson is out minimum 4 weeks. They're talking about he might not come back till week 10. So obviously that's gonna be tough. That is the minimum 4 weeks. But there's a lot riding on this right now. One, you're betting on the person that I bet on. Big in fantasy this year. If you don't know, here at Roll Coverage, I do 50 fantasy leagues. And the one that I got in all 50, there's like 3 or 4 guys that I got in all of them. Jordan Addison, I got in, I think, almost all of them. I might have been one short. But dude's ridiculous. I'm really happy that I picked him up in fantasy. So he's going to, if you have him now, I would definitely plan to start him, especially while Kirk is still there. And I believe there's 20 or so days until the trade deadline. So with that, we're obviously there's been talks previously. In fact, Justin Jefferson previously addressed the trade rumors. Now, him being on IR, I'm pretty confident that you cannot trade anybody that is on IR, but he won't be traded before the trade deadline. Which obviously my Panthers were looking at getting a wide receiver 1. I said we'd have to give up at least a 25 first round and probably 2 2s, probably the 24-2 and the 25-2. Including that first, and then probably Jeremy Chin on top of it to secure a guy like this. But obviously that's done. But going back, Mr. Seifert actually wrote on September 28th that he was getting tired of the trade talk rumors. Where it is. Speaking to a group of reporters in the Vikings locker room, in fact, Jefferson said he is tired of hearing how their 0-3 start could impact plans for 2024 and whether some players will or should be traded to stockpile draft picks. At the end of the day, it's not going to be perfect every time, said Jefferson, whose NFL high 458 receiving yards at this time on the 28th was doing that. And again, there was 0-3. So obviously, there's been discussions of trading him. He's upset about those rumors. And then obviously, the big one that was about a month ago. I'm going to pull up this article as well. I don't know if Seifert wrote. Oh, he did. Thank you, Mr. Kevin Seifert. The inspiration for today's video. But you actually wrote the article on the 9th as well, talking about, of course, I want a contract to be done and everything like that, but they had tabled an extension for Justin Jefferson. So if that's the case, before we get too crazy into it, one of the things that I'm going to say immediately off the bat is he going to be franchise tagged to keep him there? Now, I do think he's going to get some ridiculous deal. Again, we'll get into the Kirk Cousins thing. I think it will be because there's not a big quarterback contract on the roster, so they'll be able to give him, some stupid deal. I think he will get the most ridiculous wide receiver deal, and I think we'll see that come back to earth with the Jamar Chase deal because they had to pay Burrow so much. So that's just my thoughts on that. Obviously, they're getting Bengals are even cutting part of their wide receiver core shopping T. Higgins, so that's a whole separate thing. But yeah, he said he wanted to get the deal done. Let's see. Speaking in February at the NFL Scouting Combine in General Manager Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, I'm sorry, I definitely butchered that name. I don't want to be the Vikings GM without this guy on our team. So obviously they're motivated to get it done. Rumors a while ago were that they were going to offer him something like $30 million, like a literal quarterback contract to stay with that team. Obviously, you don't have to pay Addison for a few years, so you really got away with that. Uh, just don't know though. I don't. I don't know what the Vikings are doing. The rumor as well with the Vikings was that you guys might be shopping somebody that I didn't even think that you guys would shop, and I'm sorry if this is not his name, but Daniil is what I've always called him. Daniil Hunter. Dude is ridiculous. So if you guys are going to trade him, I think my Panthers should absolutely go get his ass. Dude is ridiculous. I love him. But obviously, the big issue in the room is Kirk Cousins. I was actually watching, I'm not sure if it was Siciliano or somebody like that, and they were talking about, the thought of him going to the Jets, which is where everyone's thought he'd go. I thought he would be great with the Jets. But he's like, I don't think the Jets have the capital nor the desire to move on from Wilson right now, and they're not going to blow up the roster. On top of that, they can't really do anything because they still have Rodgers' contract on the books. They have to still have to make the money work technically. So I don't think that's really the best, option for them either. Now, obviously, I'm a big fan of the NFL trade machine by Fanspo. I'm actually pulling it up off camera right now just to look at some stuff real quick. So obviously, the number one people are going to talk about is him. So I'm going to pull him up right now. Minnesota Vikings. We're going to trade Kirk Cousins. I'm not sure where he's going. Now, the one that I saw was him actually going to some interesting ones. One was Atlanta. I can't remember who did it. Shout out to whoever said it first. I think Atlanta would be an interesting one. Bijan, Drake. They just got Van Jefferson from the Rams for like a 6th round pick or something. So that's a real interesting one. And of course, Algier in the backfield. I like it. Defense obviously leaves something to desired, and being a Panthers fan, I wouldn't be too happy about Kirk coming in division. But a lot of people are calling that South division for him to, go down there. Obviously, the Bucks would be kind of crazy too, but I always like to say that they're going to trade out of conference. So being that they are in the NFC, I'm basically eliminating all those teams as thoughts, even though I will push the narrative that I think he should be a Commander. That's where he's from. In the quarterback documentary on Netflix, his wife actually said she wanted to be back in the DMV area, so I think that would be a good move for him. Chiefs don't need him. Dolphins don't need him. Steelers could, to be honest. Oh, Colts. Go get Kirk. That could be a real interesting one on a 1-year deal since Anthony Richardson's also on IR, but again, that's also far-fetched. I don't see that. The Browns would be interesting, but again, Deshaun Watson contract, it's how you're going to make the money work, all that other stuff. Texans have their quarterback of the future. Chargers, all those are good. Raiders could be an interesting one, even though I think they should allow Aiden O'Connell to kind of figure out what he's doing. Honestly, I just keep going back to the Jets. Or unless you're going to make some crazy deal and ship somebody to the Vikings. If that's the case, you can try and get a Kirk Cousins for Russell Wilson deal and have the Broncos. I'm out here in Colorado. Shout out the Broncos. Have them give up like a 2nd round pick or something just to dump his contract off because I know that they want to get rid of him. So that could be I just don't know what the best option is. Obviously, as somebody that isn't the most avid Viking supporter, I like what you guys are doing, but I don't understand this weird fire sale. I feel like you're literally a good quarterback away. Obviously, if you want to go crazy tinfoil hat theory, you trade Kirk for Deshaun Watson straight up since he's hurt right now, or at least nursing an injury. Let the Browns get out from under that bullshit contract and let them get rid of the stink of Watson, and then you bring him into your system. And if he can be a good, serviceable top 15 quarterback, imagine him with Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, Madison, Daniil Hunter, everybody like that. So I think that could be an interesting one. Obviously, again, very far-fetched trade. I completely understand that. But I want to ask you guys, if you ever get to if you get to watching this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'm a very small-time creator. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts. Where do you think Kirk Cousins should go? I think that he will be the one traded. I would be very surprised if Justin Jefferson traded now or even in the offseason. But at the same time, of course, if he's going to get 2 or 3 first rounders, why wouldn't you? A young receiver, you can hopefully go get another one, or hopefully Addison will develop into somebody that is close to, if not an equivalent of Justin Jefferson. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. We'll see. This is Nick. Roll coverage. Hopefully you have a great rest of your day. Hey, good luck, Vikings. Skol.